In the past 24 hours, Ukraine's Air Force has launched 13 strikes on enemy personnel clusters. The relevant statement was made by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine on Facebook, and Ukrinform correspondent reports. Additionally, Ukrainian missile and artillery units hit 4 Russian personnel and military equipment clusters, 15 artillery units in firing position, 2 electronic warfare systems, and 5 air defense missile systems. Over the past day, Russian troops have fired 14 Kh-101, Kh-555 cruise missiles and 3 Shahed drones at Ukraine's territory. The enemy also attacked Zaporizhia with 4 S-300 guided missiles. According to the General Staff, Ukraine's air defense units destroyed 14 enemy missiles and 2 drones, 1 Ka-52 attack helicopter and 7 reconnaissance unmanned aerial vehicles (UAVs). Russian troops also launched 51 air strikes and opened fire with multiple launch rocket systems (MLRS) 59 times. Sadly, casualties among civilians were reported. The threat of Russian missile and air strikes is persisting all over Ukraine. Meanwhile, Russian invaders continue focusing efforts on the Lyman, Avdiivka and Marinka directions. Over 28 military clashes have occurred there in the past 24 hours. In the Volyn and Polishcha directions, the operational situation remained rather unchanged. In the Siversky and Slobozhansky directions, Russian invaders launched air strikes near the Sumy region's Pavlivka, and the Kharkiv region's Hadish and Platonivka. The enemy also launched mortar and artillery strikes on the Chernihiv region's Karpovichy, Karabany and Mykolchina Sloboda, the Sumy region's Seredyna Buda, Shalyhine, Popivka, Atinsk, Iskryskivshina, Volfin, Pavlivka, Stukalivka, Obody and Kindrativka, the Kharkiv region's Hariv Kazakok, Udy, Veterinarn, Kazaka Lopan, Streleka, Olyannikov, Neskuchny, Ohertsev, Hadish, Vovchansk, Nestern, Platonivka, Budarki, Zemlyanki, Ozern, Vilkuvatka, Chuhunivka and Topoly. In the Kupiansk direction, Russian occupiers launched artillery and mortar strikes on the Kharkiv region's Krasny Persh, Fyholivka, Vorokna, Zapadna, Kupiansk, Mashutivka, Kyslivka and Berestov. In the Lyman direction, Russian troops conducted unsuccessful offensive actions towards Vesel and to the south of Dubrova. The enemy launched air strikes near the Luhansk region's Nevsky, and the Donetsk region's Bilohorivka and Seversk, as well as artillery strikes on the Luhansk region's Nevsky and Bilohorivka, and the Donetsk region's Torsky, Serebryanka, Verkhnyokamyansk, Spern and Rozdalivka. In the Bakhmut direction, the enemy launched air strikes near the Donetsk region's Kromu, Ivanovsky and Pervomaysk and Predtekheim, as well as artillery strikes on Vashukivka, Orikovo-Vasilivka, Bodanivka, Chasev Yar, Ivanovsky, Ozaryanivka, Pivden and New York. In the Avdiivka direction, Russian troops conducted unsuccessful offensive actions near the Donetsk region's Avdiivka. The enemy launched air strikes near Novokolinov, Osheretine, Nevelsky, Avdiivka and Severn, as well as artillery strikes on Berdichi, Avdiivka, Teneng, Karlivka and Nevelsky. In the Marinka direction, Russian invaders conducted offensive actions near the Donetsk region's Marinka but had no success. The enemy launched artillery strikes on the Donetsk region's Krasnohorivka, Marinka and Georgivka. In the Shakhtarsk direction, Russian occupiers conducted unsuccessful offensive actions towards Vuhledar and Zolotaniva. The enemy launched air strikes near the Donetsk region's Zolotaniva, Makarivka and Blahodatna, as well as shelled Pereskoviivka, Novomikhailivka, Blahodatna, Viln Pol, Zelin Pol, Novopil, Vodian, Vuhledar and Storozhev. In the Zaporizhia and Kherson directions, Russian troops continue holding defense. The enemy is focusing efforts to prevent Ukrainian forces from advancing. Russian invaders tried to regain their lost positions near the Donetsk region's Makarivka. The occupiers launched air strikes near the Zaporizhia region's Novodanilivka, Orikhiv and Stepnogorsk, the Kherson region's Vesel, Kozatsky and Antonivka. The enemy launched artillery strikes on the Zaporizhia region's Novodarivka, Temirivka, Lavadna, Malinivka, Huliaipol, Huliaipilsky, Charivny, Zaliznikny, Bilahiria, Novodanilivka, Omelnik, Chervona Krintzia, Preobrazhenka, Orikhiv, Yahorivka, Novoandriivka, Stepov and Piaty Kotki, the Dnepropetrovsk region's Pridneprovsky and Nikopol, The Kherson region's Kachkarivka, Respublikanets, Kozatsky, Shliako, Burhunka, Zoloda Balka, Dubchiny, Ivanivka, Molodizhny, Bilozerka, Romashkov, Antonivka, Zelenivka, Kherson, Zymivnik, Dniprovsky, Yantarn, Burhov and Velitensk. The General Staff of Ukraine's Armed Forces reported on June 23 that Russia has lost 223,330 troops in Ukraine since the beginning of its full-scale invasion, with an estimated 680 casualties on June 22. 3 enemy ammo depots smashed in Bakhmut direction, Cherevati. In the past 24 hours, Ukraine's defense forces eliminated 31 Russian occupiers in the Lyman-Kupiansk direction and 60 in the Bakhmut direction. 3 enemy ammunition depots were destroyed. The relevant statement was made by spokesperson for the eastern grouping of the Armed Forces of Ukraine Serhiy Cherevati during a nationwide telethon, and Ukrinform correspondent reports. In the previous days, the enemy made attempts to actively storm our positions in the Lyman-Kupiansk direction but was strongly repelled. Over the past day, the enemy's activity has reduced. There were just 2 military clashes, Cherevati told. In his words, Russia's artillery strikes were the most active in the Lyman-Kupiansk direction. The enemy launched 535 cannon and rocket artillery attacks, as well as 13 air attacks. 31 Russian occupiers were eliminated and 67 injured. 1 T-72 tank, 1 Jotsant B howitzer, 1 82mm mortar, and 3 trucks with ammunition were hit, Cherevati noted. In the Bakhmut direction, Russian troops were inactive. However, the enemy launched 282 artillery strikes and 4 air strikes. 60 occupiers were reported eliminated, 141 injured, and 1 was taken prisoner. Additionally, the Ukrainian military destroyed 7 Russian howitzers, 2 self-propelled artillery systems, 1 Rapira anti-tank gun, 1 Zala unmanned aerial vehicle, 3 ammunition depots, 2 command and observation posts.